All right, good evening, everyone. Kind of wanted to give you a quick update on what we've got going on this evening out across, well, to our west. We are tracking quite a few showers and thunderstorms. And I know there's been a lot of talk the last couple of days, obviously, regarding the threat for severe weather. So I wanted just to kind of take some time this evening to answer some of those questions if you've got them. We will try to answer as many as we can while we're here. Plan on spending just a little bit of time with you guys, at least this evening. But continuing to watch showers and thunderstorms this afternoon out across parts of western Missouri, southern Missouri as well. That is one that we will have to kind of keep an eye on through the overnight hours. So threw a bit of a wrench in our forecast here the last couple of days. We've really expected Monday morning to be primarily dry here in southern Illinois. And as a result of that, we thought, hey, we'd have a ton of instability and a lot of wind shear possibly on Monday afternoon that would kind of help fuel some of the stronger storms. One of the things that we're keeping an eye on right now, though, is some storms out to our west. And again, as we are going to make our way into the overnight hours, there's still some question about how far these storms are going to make it eastward. So that wrench in the forecast will change in our forecast potentially is a result of some of these storms. We think more and more likely that these storms are likely going to hold together and at least make it into parts of our region. The good news is from a severe weather, oh, you're right, I did. Good catch. Thank you, guys. Sorry, I'm trying to still catch up with this. I did put, well, I thought I updated all that, but you are right. It did not update my message. So let me see if I can update that. Sorry about that, guys. All right. I actually just got a brand new system here at the house, so I'm still kind of trying to fine tune and change up a couple things. So good catch here on the date. So let me try to get that fixed here real fast. Let me see if I can do that. No, it still didn't do it. So hold on here. Had to figure out what date it even was. I don't know about you guys. It is a Sunday, but here, let me get this all figured out real fast. Apologize for this. And we will dive right into it. Well, all right, there, that might be better. All right, so kind of getting back to it. So here's a look at radar right now. All right, showers, thunderstorms picking up out across western Missouri, just to the northwest of Springfield. The red boxes you see there on the screen, that is a tornado warning there just to the northwest of Bolivar, Missouri, and then further north up towards Sedalia, and then back just east of Butler, that's a strong storm. Notice the storm motion on that is pretty much to the north and east on the northern portion, but further to the south, there is a little bit more of an eastward push. The Storm Prediction Center actually now monitoring areas of southern Missouri here in the red for potentially extending the watch, and I'll go ahead and plot those on because there are a couple of watches out there. Go ahead and pause this for you. So these are tornado watches here in the yellow color that you see on the screen. The pinkish color is a severe thunderstorm watch a little bit further to the north. So again, there is some severe weather out to our west. The good news is I really think as this gets further and further eastward overnight, we are likely going to see some weakening. I can't rule out as this makes its way eastward overnight and closer to our area that we see an isolated strong storm or two first thing tomorrow morning. But again, this is kind of a change in our forecast. So let's go ahead and kind of break down everything that's going on right now. I'm going to clear off radar. I'm going to switch over to some model data and show you guys some of that. Let me go ahead and switch the timing here up and get some of these warnings turned off. All right. So let's go ahead and pick this up. I want you guys to really watch the timing here, so I'm going to back this up just a bit. This is about 8 o'clock, and again, it's actually running just a bit ahead of schedule. But this is 7 o'clock. Notice this model in particular picking up on some of those stronger storms. They make their way eastward, and there's more and more indications we are going to see some of this start to dive to the south and east. So this is about midnight or so. Notice still some stronger storms out across southern Missouri, 1 a.m., and then we get into the early morning hours on Monday. Line of storms possibly moving in from the west, impacting parts of southern Illinois. Again, instability is not going to be real high first thing in the morning, but hey, there could be some gusty winds and some small hail as this moves in early Monday morning, kind of makes its way through. The other big question is how quickly does it move out of our area? All right, so if the rain lingers around for a good part of the morning hours, and say there's a ton of clouds and rain lingers around on Monday morning, that's going to help to stabilize the atmosphere. The atmosphere is just not going to be able to destabilize or recover very much as a result of that. So that's one scenario that we've been keeping an eye on. If you had just asked me 24 hours ago, hey, are we going to see a bunch of storms on Monday morning? I would have said no. So that's a bit of a wrench in our forecast, change in the forecast. It's something that we really just did not anticipate to see. This is a warm front lifting northward across the area. We get into, say, 10, 11. We still got maybe a couple of showers around. Notice some more storms to our north. But right now, what my biggest anticipation is that we are going to see this kind of get out of here fairly quickly and then destabilize during the afternoon. I still think, even though we've got some showers, some thunderstorms possibly early Monday morning, right now it still looks fairly likely that we are going to see at least some destabilization occur through the afternoon hours. So we will likely see some redevelopment, especially late afternoon into the evening hours, okay? Again, feel free to try to answer some questions there. See the question about the time. I think I did fix that, so I think we're good to go. Just going to run through a few things that we're seeing here. I'm going to switch over to a different model, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple different things here that we're watching. This is Monday. This is a different model. But notice, I will say that this model in particular, if I could take this all the way back to 7 p.m., has a couple of those showers and storms. Notice they're further north on this model. And then look what happens. We get into the noontime hour. We are still dry. And then storms start to quickly develop here to our west. And then form into a big old line of storms and make their way eastward into our area. So this is another scenario. So again, right now, if you this afternoon, we've been watching this, and it's trending more and more that we are going to see some rain Monday morning. I'm going to go back to that other model that showed all the rain on Monday morning. Let's go ahead and zoom back. Pick this up. What is the date? 7 o'clock tonight. So there's those storms out to our west. This is going to take it out a little bit further. Bring some of those storms a little closer to us. And then they actually don't make it into our area until, say, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Isolated strong storm or two. We've got some rain that lingers around, but there's a little boundary that kind of sets up as a result of this early afternoon, and that brings some more chances for some showers and storms. Another line of storms develops. There's the destabilization. So notice these storms exit. We see the atmosphere destabilize, another line moving in from the west. So all that to say that right now the Storm Prediction Center still has us in a level 3. Again, 24 hours ago, I would have told you that, hey, I think it's pretty likely we see an upgrade to a level 4. I don't think that that is going to be the case right now. And the reason being is just because of the uncertainty regarding the forecast. I don't like these forecasts being all uncertain like this, especially when we've had folks on social media for days talking about the risk for severe weather and how big of a deal this was going to be. But this is one of the reasons that I'm going to throw this out there. When we are forecasting severe weather, we are extremely patient, typically, in talking about the threats, especially because, well, this happens actually quite often where we see all of the ingredients kind of coming together, and then, well, we end up with some rain early in the morning, lingers around, and the atmosphere just never destabilizes. That's not an uncommon thing to occur. It's happened many, many times with severe weather. And really, just a round of storms first thing in the morning triggered by a warm front can kill a severe weather outbreak during the afternoon. So we're going to cross our fingers. We need the rain. I see Randy, a good friend of mine, Randy Anderson, in there saying he needs at least another inch or so. You know, I think if some of this rain moves in from the west and makes it here overnight tonight, I think that's a pretty good possibility that we're going to see that. But again, the Storm Prediction Center has us in a level 3 on a scale of 1 to 5. It'd be interesting to see what their update comes up with later on tonight. But that is what they've currently got us in. Earlier this afternoon, they actually brought the 10% tornado risk, so the elevated tornado risk, just a little bit further to the south. And as a result of that, it does now encompass parts of southern Illinois in that. Notice the yellow color there on the screen, really from about Sparta to, say, Pinckneyville, maybe just close to the DuQuoin area, and then up to Mount Vernon and the far northwest corner of Hamilton County as well. But basically what you're looking at is when you see the 5% in the brown color, that's what much of southern Illinois is in. what the Storm Prediction Center is saying is within any point, if you take 1 point in all of that brown area and you say, hey, within 25 miles, there's a 5% chance of seeing a tornado. Okay, so in the yellow section, they're saying, hey, if you take 1 point in that yellow section, there's a 10% chance of seeing a tornado in that area. Okay, that's how the probabilities are calculated. So when you see the 5%, you say 10%, and you say, well, that's a really low percentage. When you actually look at how we are forecasting severe weather, 5% is kind of a medium risk. When you start getting into 10%, it's kind of a medium to high. And then on our bigger tornado days, for example, last year when we had the EF4 tornado in south of Marion, that was a 15% day. So that kind of gives you an idea. When you start getting to 15%, it's a slightly higher. So if you are just joining me, I see Karen, you didn't really miss much yet. We're kind of just running through. I'm going to run through all this again. We are just here just kind of try to answer some questions if we've got them this evening. The wind damage threat, there you go. So what we've been thinking all along, if we throw out the storms early tomorrow morning, we've thought, hey, maybe there's going to be some supercell thunderstorms that develop across western Missouri. Okay, and then we think this is going to form likely into a line of storms and push eastward and potentially produce some strong damaging winds. So when you see the 45% chance, again, that's coming down to within 1 point in that area, any point in that area within 25 miles of it, there's a 45% chance of seeing some wind damage. So that's what that is saying. All right, I'm going to switch back over because I do know we've got some folks that are just joining me. So I'm going to go back over to the model and kind of run down everything that we've got going on. I've got a few more things we're going to talk about here. Again, feel free to ask questions. Are we looking dry like last year? I'll tell you what, right now we are extremely dry. Last year's spring was not real dry. If you remember here in Southern Illinois, in fact, it was a very wet spring here in the region. There's those storms out to our west. Look at that. There's a tornado just north of Independence, Kansas. That pink box there means that there is a tornado on the ground there. That's out across southeastern Kansas. Yeah, Bryce, I can talk about that. So again, these storms out to the west, we expected them to actually be developing further to the north. If you had asked me 24 hours ago, that's where we were thinking. Okay. It's looking more and more likely we're going to see some of these storms out to our west right now make their way into our neck of the woods in Southern Illinois first thing on Monday morning. That is likely going to have a pretty big impact throughout the day. Okay, we are likely going to see some showers, some thunderstorms. It is likely going to help stabilize the atmosphere a bit. I can't rule out maybe some outflow boundaries, so rain-cooled air can kind of act as a mini cold front. So say some of these storms out to our west end up tracking right up through Rolla, Festus, and over towards, say, Mount Vernon. We could end up something here on the northern side where we have a much higher risk to the south and a lower threat to our north. But that, again, it's just one of those, I hate to say it, this is one of those events where we are not going to really know until tomorrow morning. If you wake up tomorrow morning and it's raining and it's storming and it sticks around till 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, that's some good news. That's going to help us out a lot. So it is going to be one of those things where we just don't really know how everything's going to play out until we get to tomorrow morning. Asking about, yes, Brianna, that is it's actually a tornado way back into Kansas, and there is a tornado warning, yes, back into southwest Missouri as well. Let me switch this back over so that you guys, here, hold on here. Trying to get this pulled up here. Again, I've got a new system. It's actually the first time I've used it with you guys, so trying to see what we've got going on. Let's see if this works better. All right. So, all right, that's what radar's going. It looks like right now. Let's go ahead and turn radar back off. And let's go back over to, again, some of the latest model data that's coming. I'm going to turn all the warnings off here too. Let's go back over. So again, doing this model in particular, picking up on it pretty well. There it is, moving eastward. All right, so here we go. That's kind of an interesting feature as some of these storms kind of sag off to the south and east. That would kind of follow, though, the instability gradient, which ends up being a little bit further to the south and east as well. Let me see if I can show some of that. So when we talk about instability, what we're talking about is how warm it is down here at the ground level, how cold it is up above us, and how fast air is going to go up. Remember, if you think back to basic science, air goes up, and that's kind of, warm air goes up. That's kind of the basics of a lot of weather. So let me go ahead and switch this back over so you guys can see it. I'm going to go towards the bottom here. All right, so when we talk about instability, this is what we're looking at. It's measured basically when you start getting above 1,000 this time of year, it's significant. Okay, so notice we don't have a whole lot of instability, and those storms kind of follow that instability gradient. They kind of hang out down here in southeast Missouri. Notice further eastward into southern Illinois, we don't really have the instability for tomorrow morning. One of the reasons I think that if we see some of these storms make it to us first thing tomorrow morning, they're likely going to be weakening. We could see maybe some small hail, some gusty winds. Right now, I'm not anticipating much in the way of severe weather here locally tomorrow morning. The real big focus, and it has been for the last few days, has really been geared towards tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening, okay? Slide back over to what I was showing you here. So that model I was showing you, there it is, 11 p.m. Notice those storms kind of dive to the south, 7 a.m., on. So 6 a.m. we've still got some rain making its way through, and then as it starts to make its way eastward, this is about 9 a.m. picks up. So 8 a.m. still some showers around, and we will have to kind of look. Notice the northern part of this. That's those outflow boundaries that we'll be keeping an eye on as well. JD asking, yes, I think there could be a bust tomorrow. I think it's possible. I don't think that we are to that point where we're going to say for sure that it's going to be a bust. I think there's just too much over the last few days that has pointed to significant severe weather to completely rule it out now. We've been talking about this for 4, 5, 6 days, and now we're less than 24 hours away and we're going to completely rule it out. I find that hard to believe. All right. So that is something that I'm kind of saying, hey, I think we're still got a chance here of seeing some pretty strong storms, especially Monday afternoon, Monday evening, as this moves through. The rain in the morning is just kind of a wild card. Again, it is something that could impact instability quite a bit, but it is just a big question mark, and it's just something we aren't going to know a lot about until we get through tomorrow morning. All right. Yeah, good question. So thinking about you guys in Marion, Karen, tornadoes, hail, just curious. Okay, your thoughts, because yeah, and all the others. Yeah, so it is confusing. I understand that. There is a lot going on. Again, what we have really tried to stress is there's a lot of uncertainty right now as a result to tomorrow's forecast. I really think that basically from about, we'll say 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., we could see a couple of isolated strong storms tomorrow. But I really think that if we're going to see some of the strongest storms, it's likely not going to be till tomorrow evening. And yes, that does include Marion. I think that we will likely see a line of strong storms still develop and probably still make its way eastward, even as we make our way into tomorrow evening. So again, if you are just joining us, kind of looking over some of this real quick, biggest question right now, tomorrow morning. That is by far the biggest question. Storms, I think, are probably fairly likely to make it to at least parts of southern Illinois, just kind of looking over everything. Those storms in the morning, while I can't rule out an isolated strong storm, it looks like right now most of those will be pretty tame. Some heavy rain, some lightning, small hail, gusty winds. But again, it is going to have some pretty big impacts on the afternoon hours tomorrow. So let's go ahead and switch back over to that. So if the morning rain gets out of here, either we don't get the rain all the way here, or the rain gets out very quickly on Monday morning, we could see the atmosphere actually rebound, recover. And it's not going to take a lot of time. There is a lot of very warm, very humid air trying to move northward. So if we can get rain out of here, say, and we start seeing a little bit of sunshine towards the lunchtime hour, early afternoon, then I would say, hey, it's still game on for some severe weather tomorrow afternoon, late in the day and into the evening hours. That's going to be the main focus for severe weather likely in Southern Illinois at this point. Still anticipating that is going to be Monday evening. And again, the biggest threat is likely going to be strong damaging winds, but I still think a few tornadoes would be possible, again, assuming that the atmosphere can recover. Brandon saying, hey, looks like the storm might break up before it makes it to Southern Illinois. You know, it is something, again, this rain in the morning really could throw a wrench in the entire forecast, and it could be a complete bust. That has happened many, many times, and as good as forecasting has gotten, we still have those questions sometimes. But I still think that there's enough there tomorrow afternoon to tomorrow evening that we have to pay attention. If it doesn't happen, then great, right? I mean, that's what we would like to see, is that nothing happens. But there's just enough there that I don't think we can really let our guard down and say for sure, hey, this is not going to happen. Nothing's going to happen tomorrow afternoon and not tomorrow evening. I don't think we're there yet. I really do anticipate that we've still got quite a bit there in the atmosphere, and we'll be keeping an eye on it throughout the day. Fingers crossed that we just aren't able to destabilize. Another meteorologist saying is rain is going to go north. Another saying that we'll go rain in the morning down south. Someone else says, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Rebecca, you know, again, forecasting, we're trying to predict the future. What we try to do here is really try to present the solutions the best we can. All right. We try to say, hey, this is the most likely solution that's going to occur. This is how it might play out. That's what we're trying to do. Can't always be perfect, but, you know, I think forecasting overall has gotten pretty good. Speaking of game on, we have softball game at Oakville tomorrow. Gosh, I'll tell you what, I think it could be pretty tough in St. Louis tomorrow to get baseball games in. I saw a comment there from someone in Ferguson, Missouri as well. I would say similar to them. Honestly, St. Louis is going to be dealing with something very similar to us, where they are going to likely be dealing with the possibility of some storms early tomorrow morning that could impact their afternoon. But I would expect them that they are likely going to see some rain. All right. The other question that kind of threw, that's the last couple of days we've also been tracking, not to get too far out ahead of us, but Taylor saying, I've seen tons of posts of how tornadoes are going to rip through everywhere, and we need to be prepared for that. I live in West Frankfort and ensure what's happening. Hey, Taylor, hope you're doing all right. And, you know, look, I think there's a lot of folks on social media that are out there to scare people. It just is what it is. But even on our worst days, even on our days where we have a large tornado or two, it is usually, I hate to say a handful of people, but you're not talking about the entire area. That's not how this works. That's not how even the worst of tornadoes work. But even on days where we have a lot of supercells thunderstorms, we end up with maybe one or two strong tornadoes. So while we need to be prepared, yes, we do. I think the only way we really can be prepared, I keep seeing posts that say, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be prepared. To me, being prepared is, right, having warnings, knowing how to get warnings, and knowing where you'd go. That's the thing that we prepare for with severe weather. We've been doing it since we were kids. We live here in Southern Illinois, right? So it's part of it. You know, having a way to receive warnings, making sure, I mean, everybody should know that there's a chance for strong storms tomorrow. It's been everywhere. So knowing that, and then also knowing where we would go, to me, that's the best way to prepare. It's what we do. Hey, I know that when there's a tornado warning that's issued, guess what? We are going to, my family is going to go next door to our next door neighbors. They have a storm shelter right next door, so they're going to go over there. All right. We know that. We know how we're going to get warnings, and we know where we're going to go. I would really just encourage you. To me, that's the best way to kind of overcome the fear of it, but also just kind of be prepared for it as well. All right. Catching up here. Any chance of, yeah, I mean, I think that's, let me go back over here. Yeah, I mean, I think that the warm front, I'm going back up to this comment here. Jared saying any chances for the warm front stalling out further south than anticipated? You know, if the storms come through in the morning, yeah, for sure. That warm front is trying to come north, and we've many times we've seen where storms trying to come north, you know, the outflow boundaries kind of run into that warm front and kind of stall it out. I think that's a possibility for sure that we could see it stall out maybe a little bit further south than anticipated. Not ready to say that yet. Again, we'll kind of have to get through tomorrow morning to see where everything is and where everything lies. I think that's really going to be the key there. Yep, Dottie, storm anxiety. I understand there is a lot of people that have storm anxiety. So you, first off, you're not alone with that. That is for sure. And for those that have storm anxiety, that's one of the reasons I try to be as cautious as I can be with wording, to make sure that you guys understand what is possible, what could potentially occur, so that you don't get real scared, okay? There are times where we need to be really, really concerned, and there are times where we just don't know. And tomorrow, to be honest, is one of those right now where we're not 100% sure. There's just a lot of uncertainty. Leanne, is there a chance for that the storms could weaken as they come east from St. Louis, since it'll be later in the evening? Yeah, I've seen some of that. I will tell you that instability, assuming that we recover from after tomorrow's rain, instability is very high even as we make our way into tomorrow evening. So that is something to consider. But right now, I'm just not. Again, we'll have to see how the morning rain plays out, but I don't anticipate them to just completely weaken as they get here. Let's go to Springfield tomorrow morning, returning home late Tuesday. What are your thoughts on the Springfield area? I think Springfield, honestly, I will tell you that the ingredients are there from St. Louis northward, and really for even stronger storms than what we are anticipating at this point. Again, the rain could impact that, but I would say that if you are traveling to Springfield, you need to be very cautious and be very weather aware tomorrow as a result of that. I don't know what's going on here. Trying to plot in my radar here. I'm kind of struggling to get that in. All right. Will I be going live? Yes, I will tell you guys that I actually am planning. I have some travel for work. So I work a day job, and I work for a economic development organization called Southern Illinois Now. That is my day job. And as a result of that, I am going to be traveling tomorrow, and I actually have to head down to Louisiana. I'm hoping to travel and leave fairly early in the morning tomorrow, and then get down there and get settled by mid to late afternoon. And if there's severe weather, I am planning on having everything set up to be able to go live from the hotel room and still continue to track this, okay? So that's what that's my plan right now. Go ahead and switch this back over. Alan, what time do you think lightning will begin? I think you could see some lightning first thing tomorrow morning if these storms make it to you. I think it could be as early as 6 or 7 a.m., if not even earlier, that some of these showers and thunderstorms, and I think you could see a little bit of lightning with them there. Yep, let's talk about Tuesday. I see some comments there from Gabrielle. I've had a couple questions regarding Tuesday. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to slide this back over so we can kind of look at that too. So again, what we're looking at is instability, okay? We have to have that, and this is one model. We talk about recovery tomorrow. This is one of those models that, there you go at lunchtime. This is right at noon. And notice instability is really high across southeast Missouri. All right, so that is the instability working its way northward, back into the area. 3, 4... Look at that, huge amounts of instability. So again, assuming, notice there's the storms kind of washing us out first thing in the morning, and then there's the recovery in the afternoon. Here's the other round of storms actually developing Monday afternoon out here to the west on this model. So this model in particular is one that really does show the instability rebounding pretty quickly. See if I can slide that back over. And then as a result of that, you see There's the morning, all the morning storms. They roll on through here. And then we fire some more storms back up from the west. So that's one solution that we're keeping an eye on. Let's go back over to instability because I know I want to go ahead and look at Tuesday. So what happens here is there's a cold front. A little cold front works its way southward, takes the instability with it down into Tennessee. Look what happens, though, as we get into Tuesday afternoon. All of a sudden, the instability starts to work its way back northward. That's warm, humid air starting to come back north. I'm going to switch this back over, go out a little bit further. Right now, it does appear, and I'll tell you, the last couple of days, the trend has been to push this further and further north into Tuesday. I think as we get into Tuesday afternoon, we're going to have to, again, watch kind of where that boundary sets up. Right now, it really does favor the Missouri boot heel, northwest Tennessee, western Kentucky, close to that warm front. If that warm front ends up getting back into southern Illinois, north of the Ohio River, then yeah, we could see some very strong storms develop. But again, we'll just have to kind of keep an eye on exactly where that's going to be. If I switch back over to dew points, 59 dew point, probably not going to do it. But this juicy air down here, 64 dew points, 65, 65, 68. And look at that, dew points in the lower 70s in Kentucky and northwest Tennessee. That's enough right there to cause some major concern. So right now, fingers crossed that I'm hoping that on Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening, we're able to keep the severe weather threat maybe just to our south. But I'll go ahead and show you the outlook here as the Storm Prediction Center has made some pretty big adjustments. Yesterday, they didn't have any of our area in this. And now all of a sudden we are seeing a level 2 in Kentucky, right up to Metropolis and the confluence there in Cairo. But notice a level 1 also extending into southern Illinois. That's kind of the question. How far north is that warm front going to get on Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening? We'll start to kind of pinpoint that and have a better idea once this first round of storms goes through on Monday, because then we'll have a better idea of exactly where the boundaries end up being also. So that's something to kind of consider there. Danielle asking about the drought. Yeah, I think that rainfall amounts honestly have kind of started to trend back upwards with this. Slide back over, show this once again. This is rainfall projections through Thursday. And you'll notice that, hey, much of the area, at least in the next few days, should see 1 to 2 inches of rain and possibly even a little more, depending on exactly where some of the strongest storms go. So we're going to hold out some hope that that's what ends up occurring. But again, I feel like we've seen a lot of these promising rainmakers just kind of fall apart right over top of us and kind of leaving a lot of people wanting more. And hopefully that's not the case with this one. As while we don't want the severe weather, but it sure would be nice to get a little bit of rain out of this next one. All right. Answering a few questions. I'm going to stay on with you guys for maybe another 5 minutes or so. JD asking, will Monday morning storms going to be severe? It probably not. While we couldn't rule out maybe some small hail or some gusty winds with it, it really appears that we're just not going to have much instability left to work with as we head into Monday morning. So right now, I'm not anticipating really severe weather Monday morning. I really think the severe weather threat's probably going to stay out to our east, or excuse me, to our west. Again, I'll throw this back on. This is the area right now the Storm Prediction Center continues to watch for possibly extending another watch, but that doesn't come into our area. So it'll be something we watch, but I really don't think that at this point that we are likely going to see these being severe when they get here. Sharon saying, fly out of Cape at 3:30 tomorrow. How's weather looking in Cape then? Could be tracking some showers, some thunderstorms in. I really think you may end up getting kind of lucky, hopefully, and getting stuck in between the morning storms and maybe the afternoon storms, and maybe your flight's all right. But yeah, I mean, there's a chance you're dealing with some storms in Cape at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon, but right now, that's kind of the way I would lean. I think we see some storms in the morning and some more storms in the evening, but I would actually say that your flight might be all right. What time are you looking at in Monday morning? Go back over to turn all this off. this is Monday morning. There you go, Brian. So some rain making its way in. Again, this actually just updated as we've been sitting here talking. So that really does form a lot of these storms. Dives them off to the southeast, follows that instability gradient right there. Follows it diving off to the south and east. Brings some rain, some lingering cloud cover back into the area. And notice these showers and storms then Monday morning to our north. So kind of gives you an idea that as we make our way into early Monday morning, likely going to be dealing at least with some rain, I think, as we make our way through. Asking about when does the severe weather move out on Monday? The risk for severe weather is right now it's looking pretty likely that by midnight, any risk for severe weather should be out of southern Illinois. Okay. Burke saying, is there any way it will miss Franklin County on Monday? Yes, there is definitely a chance that it could miss Franklin County on Monday. Again, what we were just talking about is quite a bit of that rainfall right now to our west. Could have a pretty big impact on the severity of storms in our neck of the woods tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Again, even on our worst days of seeing severe weather, there's just, I'm not going to say there's not a lot of people impacted, but even the reports of severe weather, unless we end up with another derecho or something, and I do not see anything like that. Typically, severe weather reports are kind of community by community. And so even on our worst days, typically, it's only a handful of people that are impacted. Cheyenne saying, so we won't see any storms in the morning. I don't think we're going to see storms as far as severe storms right now. Not anticipating that on Monday morning. However, I do anticipate that we will see more storms develop likely tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening, especially tomorrow evening. That's kind of the biggest concern and has been for the last couple of days. Rainfall totals, just ran through that. Next couple of days, expecting about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. It might end up being all over the board. There might be some that pick up less than a half, and there might be some that pick up over 2. It really is going to have to be right when it's going to end up being where the strongest storms end up tracking tomorrow. That's going to be a big player on how much rain we're going to see. Caitlin asking about live coverage tomorrow. I mentioned that I do plan on it tomorrow evening in particular. I mentioned that I have a day job. I actually work for Southern Illinois Now, so economic development organization here in Southern Illinois, and that is my day job. And so I will be traveling tomorrow. As a result of that, I have to travel down to Louisiana for a work trip. So I'm hoping to get out of here pretty early in the morning. I've got a couple folks riding with me. We're going to get on the road pretty early, and hopefully I can get set up in my hotel room. And if we have any severe weather to be dealing with tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, hopefully I'm able to do that from the hotel room and still cover that live. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. Again, hopefully this kind of helped answer some of the questions, some of the uncertainty, because I know there's just, gosh, social media is what it is, and there's all these different things that are going out of here. But just to kind of recap everything, showers, possibly a little bit of rain first thing Monday morning, kind of a wild card that kind of came out of left field for us. So that is going to likely have an impact on tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. That being said, we are likely going to see some recovery for the atmosphere. So I still think that there's a chance that we are dealing with some fairly significant severe storms in some areas later in the day tomorrow, and especially tomorrow evening as that line of storms develops to our west and makes its way into our area. So that is something to consider. I don't think we're out of the woods yet, but we are at least keeping an eye on it. Again, there is at least some hope here that we can kind of dodge a bullet. But again, we won't really know much until tomorrow morning and see how fast the rain gets out of here, how fast some of these showers and storms. Right now, I am watching some of these storms to our west. Again, not a lot of instability once they make their way eastward. Let's see. but it is something we'll be keeping an eye on through the overnight hours as well. And again, plan to continue to do a few posts here throughout the next 24 hours. Appreciate, of course, our sponsor, Clark Mix On Site Concrete. They sponsor these weekly weather updates, so appreciate that and appreciate you guys joining us as well. Stay safe, have a great night, and we'll be in touch